All right, guys, I have a great one here to react to. This is an Indian guy living in Canada. He's sharing his perspective on some of the negative sentiments of other Indians living in Canada, but he has an interesting take. I actually agree with a lot of what he's saying. Have some questions for some of it, so I'm going to give my reaction, but let's just hear some of what he's saying and see where we go with this.
Video on this, and all of them are talking about this increase in the negative sentiment towards Indians living in Canada. And to be honest, it's not surprising because even Indians have noticed that there is an increased level of immigration in the last few years. There are so many places that when we go to, it doesn't even feel like we are living in Canada. It feels like any other city in India. So I can totally understand their perspective where they are used to seeing a different Canada from many years ago, and things look really different now. But to put the blame of this increasing immigration on the immigrants themselves, I don't think is fair, because most of the immigrants that have come to Canada have come through legal channels. That's the difference between the immigration problem that is within Canada or in other countries like in US or Europe. There is a lot of immigrants landing to the European shores coming in from poorer countries, or a lot of Mexicans crossing the border to enter US, but those are illegal migrants. But in Canada, everybody that has come, or most of the people that have come to Canada that you see on the road, are legal migrants that have come through channels created by the government of Canada and who were backed by the people of Canada, right? They voted for this government, and the government made the policies which brought all the people.
So, just to stop quickly here. So, I agree with a lot of what he's saying. But just to get into this a little bit, and I definitely blame Trudeau. So there's no like I'm going to blame one but not the other. But he's saying they came through legal channels as opposed to illegal, which is largely true. But don't forget, there's a lot of scams, and I'm going to be getting into these to get PRs, to get work, to get your work papers. There's different things, and you come in and it's fake to get in. So even though the paper coming in is legal, if there were any lies along the way, that's illegal. But I don't think the criticism is that the people don't have the right papers to come in by our stupid government. The criticism is you still can get criticism if the behavior is bad of certain people, right? It's not like, well, hey, we gave them a paper so you can do whatever you want. Absolutely not. So just want to throw that one in there. And the government is blamed 100%. But the only reason people like me are making videos like this is to also just say, not to blame anyone, but to highlight this is what's happening. So let's please vote for a different government in the future so people have an idea. Like if you're in some all white place, you never get out of your house and you're a baby boomer, you have no idea what's going on. So this is to share, like, here's what's happening. Maybe we'll vote differently next time. But anyway, I like a lot of what he's saying, and the video gets way better going forward. So let's listen more.
Here. So to put the blame of job losses or economy on immigrants is not fair. And there is also an increasing sense of negative perception that is being spread by some people. And also I think there is a whole propaganda behind it as there are elections coming up. A lot of the videos that are coming out are also fake, and they are used to spread hatred towards Indians. That is true. So recently there was an issue that came out that Indians were seen pooping on the beach of Wasaga. That video by a local Canadian went viral on TikTok and garnered the attention of millions of Canadians, which was widely shared. Then the mayor of that town of Wasaga came out and said that this information is not true. They haven't gotten any evidence. And in fact, the initial video that was shared out.
Well, I've talked about this before. Like, what do they want for evidence? Like photos, videos, and like a scoop of the actual, you know what? I mean, of course, the mayor's going to say that. It's very much in their interest to try to sweep it under the rug. I don't need to get into whether or not each incident's true. We know that the pooping is a thing, in certain rural parts of India. We've seen that, whatever. I don't need to get into that, but I wouldn't jump too much on, well, hey, the mayor said there's no evidence, so it probably didn't happen. I guarantee you, next summer is going to come up. People are going to be more on the let's share it. So you don't want to hide into that. But just very quickly before I get in and get back, and I'm not going to keep stopping it. He's got great points coming up. But there has been something totally fake that I have seen. I do want to share that because I'm always honest. Watch this clip here. It's very short.
Hey, real quick, did you get a chance to shower today?
No, sir. I haven't showered in a long time, honestly.
Oof, yeah, I'm picking that up. It's pretty strong out here. Let's try to get you a checkup and a place to clean off after we wrap. Hey, real quick, did you get a chance to shower today?
I mean, so in case you didn't know, a lot of people do know, but it's got 17,000 likes. Who knows who's going through this? This is 100% AI though. So you like AI is getting pretty good. So we have to be careful of fake stuff. There is some of that out. So this is fake. I don't put the Wasaga thing necessarily in that category because of what the mayor said, but I just want to point that out. And let's get back to the video. So again, he's got great stuff coming up. Really good.
Also was without any videos or proofs. So I'm not sure how much truth there is to this story, but in essence, what I can say, there is definitely some truth to the negativity being spread about Indians. And this is what we are going to discuss in this video today. So first, let's address the elephant in the room, which is the misinformation. There's no denying that some of the issues that are being spread out are purely false, and they are just to spread a negative propaganda. They are simply being shared to fuel agendas and to stir up trouble between two communities. But then at the end of the day, it's also essential to differentiate the truth with the misinformation. And there are some legitimate concerns which I think as a community of Indians living in Canada, we need to address because those are true. So let's look at some of these genuine concerns which I could find not just from the comment section on my video, but also in general while browsing through Reddit or Twitter. These are some common issues that have been shared, and I think they are so genuine that everybody would benefit if these issues did not happen. So the first issue is lack of hygiene and smell. So even if I assume that the Wasaga Beach issue is false, but still there are many other videos that we have seen where Indians have not particularly been the most hygienic people. So let's look at this video, which was made by a fellow Indian after a mela in Brampton.
ਆ ਵੇਖੋ ਜੀ ਭਾਰਤ ਦੇ ਸਵਾਦ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਭਾਰਤ ਦੇ ਸਵਾਦ ਵੀਕਐਂਡ ਤੇ ਲਾਇਆ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹੁਣ ਵੇਖੋ ਸਾਰੇ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ ਤੇ ਸਵਾਦ ਆਪਣੇ ਤੇ ਛੱਡ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਖਲੋਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੋ ਆਣ ਡਈ ਕੰਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ
So as you can see, the lack of civic duty that we as a community display not just shows poorly on that specific individual, but it brings a negative perception to the entire community. And if it is so apparent that some of our Indians have also started to point out, then imagine what the Canadians would be feeling. So I think it's a no-brainer that when we have moved to Canada, it is such a beautiful country that we have moved in. Everything on the road is clean. All the parks that we go to, there is no trash. So it is also our duty as model immigrants to continue that culture and to take it a step ahead, not a step behind. I know that India is not the cleanest of countries. There is a lot of trash when we go and visit India, but that's what we left behind. When we moved to Canada, those are the things that attracted us in Canada. And now it's our duty to take it one step ahead and, ensure that whenever we are leaving our surroundings, it's better than how we found it. So pick up your trash. There are ample trash bags and garbage bins available everywhere. Even if it's not available, put it back in your bag so that you can throw it when you go back home. But please don't spread litter in our surroundings. It affects us, and it also affects the negative perception. The second thing is about smell. And to be honest, even I wasn't aware about this issue, and it only became apparent when I moved to Canada because our food
This is like my favorite part. So check this out.
and our way of cooking, I think, is very different than what people are used to here, because we put all the spices together and there is a tadka that we do in our dishes. That smell permeates our clothes, and when we wear the same clothes when we go out, people can instantly smell that, and sometimes they feel even nauseous. So when you're living in an Indian household, that smell seems natural to you, then you will feel okay that I'm not smelling. But for somebody coming in from outside, they will instantly feel that. And because we have moved to Canada, it is our duty to assimilate into their culture. Okay, we can't expect them to be a part of our culture. Few simple things that I think can help with this issue is, first of all, whenever you are cooking, open your doors and windows to ensure that smell can go out. In fact, I wasn't aware about this issue. So Kriti, because she has lived in the US for 5 years, she always used to cook with open doors and windows. And I used to ask her, why are you doing that? We have a chimney already and it is cold. But she used to say that the smell still is in the room. So opening of doors and windows helps to take that smell out. Also, close your bedroom door, close your closet when you're cooking so that the smell doesn't go in your clothes. And change your clothes if you've had your meal before going out, or take a shower. And the last thing is use a deodorant. I purchased one for $2 at Dollarama, so it's not an expensive thing to do. I think it's just something that doesn't come naturally to us, because in India, the use of deodorants and perfumes, it's still not very common, and people would only use it when they're going to like a party. But here, ensure that you're using it every day. And even if you're allergic to, say, a deodorant, there are also neutral perspirants that you can get, or roll-on sticks that you can use.
I don't want to laugh at that, but isn't that amazing? He's saying it like as a truth. He knows what it's like. I mean, he's Indian, right? And he didn't grow up in Canada. He said the use of deodorant does not come naturally to them. They don't really use it. They use it, he said, if they are going to a party, and the idea is, get that, use it every day, take a shower. I mean, to us in Canada, it's like, well, yeah. And we're like, sometimes you don't notice Canadian culture or Western culture until you see something else. But I mean, we are very smell sensitive, right? We care about that a lot. And like the first part when he's talking about, the clothes from the food, I'm sure that smells bad, but like when other people are talking about, they're really talking about this showering, changing clothes and deodorant thing. Because like everybody knows what terrible like male BO is, and it lingers like you wouldn't believe. So to be from somewhere where you don't notice it, like I guess farmers don't notice manure or whatever after a while. But if you're not on the farm, you do. I don't know. I guess that's what it is. But, when we're growing up, thinking back to it, right? Like imagine you're in the car with your friends and like a bad smell comes in of any kind. Like what do they say? Oh, was that you? You roll down the window, put your head in your shirt. Like I can just imagine like young teens saying this or, oh, what's that? No, it's not me. Whatever. It's from outside. We're so conscious, like, oh, is that your breath? Oh, brush your teeth. Like we're just so into telling people like you go out, imagine trying to go out in the dating world, right? If you smell bad immediately, right, girls are going to say like, what the heck is going on? Your parents are going to say it. Last story here, I remember as a young guy, like honestly 12, and back then, like in the early 90s, I remember sometimes kids, like other kids, my mom never let me do this. I didn't want to, but they'd like wear bare feet in their running shoes and they'd smell terrible. And I just remember my mom being like to a friend coming over, like, you're not wearing those disgusting things. Those shoes are staying out on the deck. And if you want to come in the house, you go straight up, wash your feet in the tub. Like, we're just very smell conscious. I'm glad he's pointing it out. Like, there's something that seems funny about it, to have to say that, but I mean, it's definitely worth saying. And like we're not going to get over it and pretend we don't notice.
To ensure that smell doesn't go out. So these are some simple tricks that we can use to ensure that we don't cause discomfort to our fellow Canadians who may not be used to that smell. The second aspect that I want to talk about is,
and as I said, we're not going to get used to that. But anyway, he's doing great with the smell thing. I'm very glad he's saying it, because if I say it, it sounds like, oh, you're a terrible person. But if he says it could be like a useful tip.
personal space and behavior. So recently I was watching a video by a popular YouTube creator called Sandy Talks Canada, where she talks about how her friend was kind of harassed while going for a walk in Brampton. And there were some desi boys in a car honking at her friend and creating discomfort for her. And she said that I thought that we had left all these things back in India, but these things are also coming back in Canada, which doesn't reflect very good on us as a society. Imagine if an Indian girl is being threatened and harassed here, what would happen to the local Canadians? And even if it's a very, very small proportion of people doing that, the perception then carries a halo effect and it goes on to the society at large. The second thing is something that I have seen very common in, if we are in a public space, playing loud music, for example, or talking on the phone loudly. These are things that are very, very common back in India. It's not uncommon for people to play loud music in their cars when they're going out for gadies or talking on the phone, because that's a culture in India. But here, so when you are outside in a public space, ensure that you are displaying your best behavior and beyond. Because like I said, there is already a negative perception towards Indians already, and we have to take that one step and beyond so that we can improve our image, and it's to our.
I like how he's emphasizing one step and beyond. I mean, that is a good message. Quick story here. So last summer, I don't camp that much, but we were camping with some friends in Ontario, and it was quite international. Let's put it that way, more than I thought. And people like have their own. There's a camping culture, basically. If you've ever gone, like there are just certain things that people do and they don't do. And you certainly like don't have bright lights. Late at night, kids sleeps. You're trying not to be too loud and this and that. And most people were pretty good. People were friendly, whatever. But there was a big group from India beside us, and they were playing like Indian music super loud with a huge group with bright light shining into the tents. And they were nice. Like they came over, they were friendly, we were friendly. but I could just feel the mood, and people were not liking it because it was too much. But they didn't want to say, it's awkward sometimes when it's adults, but I don't know. He's making a good point there, and somebody will say it's going to be called like a super racist thing. Someone's going to make it an ugly situation, but it's a big deal. If like we have to know these things.
Own benefit if that image is improved, because ultimately we have to live in Canada. Everybody that has moved here on a PR, or most of the students, they have moved here with the intention of settling in Canada. So if you're settling in Canada, we have to create an atmosphere which is helpful and cooperative for us as well as the locals who have been living here. So it is in our best interest to display our best behavior and adapt to local customs and show respect for others' personal space. The third thing which I think we can do is assimilation and cultural integration. When we have moved to Canada, it is not that we will leave behind our values as Indians or our religious customs. We will continue to follow that. But when we have moved to a different country, it is also natural for us to integrate and assimilate in their culture. So some of the things that we can do, for example, is take part in Canadian festivals and sport occasions. So recently there was the NHL final between Edmonton Oilers and I think a team from Florida. So I don't know how many Indians followed that event, but for Canadians, it was a big deal because after many years, a Canadian team was in the NHL final. So these are the things which we can do to take part and contribute to the Canadian culture. Watching Super League, for example, or trying events that Canadians are really known for, like skiing or ice skating. If we do these things, we'll be able to communicate with our colleagues much better, and we'll also understand what being Canadian truly feels like. Engaging with local traditions and customs will show Canadians that Indians are willing to contribute to be a part of the society and the
See, I think like he's a new one, but I think he's kind of saying out loud the attitude that a lot of Indian immigrants had, or all immigrants, kind of in the 70s and 80s when people came over, and Canada was generally considered more of a welcoming society because people would, I guess, integrate. Like you're not forced to. So you're not leaving everything behind on purpose. But I thought that was an interesting take to say, like, try to actually get into some stuff here. Like if you're gonna live here and move here, raise your kids here, um, this stuff isn't like illegal if you don't, but it's good to say it out loud. So I think this attitude, and you can tell, like he wasn't born here; he figured it out on his own. Some people can do that. So that's a positive. I've shared sort of my views. I'm starting to put up social media for Reality is Rough channels in the description, maybe the first comment. I hope people share it, and kind of get those going. I haven't really posted much, but that's sort of new to me. But I'd love to get those channels going, and it's all going to be about you guys sharing it. So I hope you follow it and help me out with that a little bit. But hope you enjoyed that one, and we'll see you in the next one. Looking forward to your comments, guys.